Hi, it's Jessie. I'm back again so soon, really. Um, so here's the deal. In my life, I have a lot of trouble. And it's not trouble of my own making. It's trouble that's put upon me because someone wants to kill me. Why? Why would anyone want to kill you, right? Um, the world is a weird place. It's a crazy place, it's a place where you can't solve your problems because everyone fights you through somebody else. It's a place where the people who accuse you of being something that you're not enlist other people to prove that you're someone you're not. And even if you prove yourself to them, they will still accuse you of lying. They won't, like, let's say you invite them to dinner. Let's say you have nothing to hide. Come into my house. Come and see how we live. Come and see how my children and I interact. Come and see. I have nothing to hide. They will refuse the invitation and will continue to lie. Why? Why? How do they get away with this? What is the justification for doing this? And well, the justification is this: if there is doubt, they can exploit it, you know. But if they see something clearly for their own eyes, then they have to drop their case, you know. And because they are ambitious people serving a cause, you know, because they are thoroughly rewarded, um, they they don't stop. They just keep going. And when you prove them wrong in one section, um, they flip the script to the next section. Or they undermine you and sabotage you to make you look as though you're lying, right? Um, let me give an example so we're clear. One of the accusations against me was that I did not take care of my children, that I did not have custody of my children, that their grandparents did. And this accusation was preposterous, right? Because the grandparents never really even gave birthday or Christmas presents. Grandpa would give an envelope with $5 into it, but not for the baby, not for the baby because she don't need nothing, but the oldest would get $20 as he got older. It's crazy, right? You think that they did something for my children when they can't even buy them birthday and Christmas gifts. We show people that we love them. We celebrate them on certain occasions. We show them love, and they never even showed them love during these times, right? So what these people did was they got grandma and grandpa to come over and bring gifts one year. But the gifts, it was funny because my daughter was wearing a size 4T, and she was gifted a size 2T. My other daughter was gifted a pink sweater when she absolutely hated the color pink. My other son got a Star Wars toy. Was it Star Wars or Star Trek? I don't know. I don't watch the shows. It was some kind of spaceship and some kind of action figure to go with it. But he didn't watch those shows. He was watching like Blue's Clues and Handy Manny and, Nickelodeon shows. But they gifted him a Star Wars set. And then my oldest got a gift card, right? And in that same year where they brought gifts, I always give gifts, right? Even if they don't deserve them, I still give gifts because it's not about who you are, it's about who I am, right? It's about not letting you diminish my character. It's about being who I am in the face of someone who's just horrible, because we shouldn't allow ourselves to justify bad behavior. That's one of my core convictions, right? That you don't be led by the world around you, that you stay true to doing the things that you do because you are who you are. And all these things prove who you are, And it's not actually about proving a case. It's just that need to be that person, and that hope that maybe you stand good for long enough, and maybe they'll come around, maybe they'll change, maybe they'll open their eyes, maybe they'll take a hint, maybe they'll do better, right? But they don't. They never did, right? So I bought her grandma a Bath and Body Works gift set. It was expensive, Bath and Body Works is very expensive. But I give her this gift, and she starts huffing and puffing around my house, going, "Where's my gift?" to her son, and cursing and saying, "No, you better have my gift." And so he had to give her cash money, in addition to the Bath and Body Works set that I had given her. And it was like, why are you being like this? She had never been so demanding when she came into my house as she was that day when she was demanding her gift, because the Bath and Body Works was from me, it wasn't from him, so it doesn't count, and he better have hers. The first time she brings gifts for my children into my house, and this is the way that she treats. I was like, oh no, this is too much. This is too much. I didn't even want my kids around her because she's just a bad example, Sometimes we look at people and we see, oh, you're a bad person. But sometimes we look at people and we think, oh, Daddy's bad because she's yelling at him about the gift. And why didn't he do it? That's wrong for Daddy, Sometimes people put ideas in people's minds about what is right and what is wrong by how they treat them and the way that they accuse them, demanding, where is my gift? And that sows little seeds into them, right? So it doesn't just undermine me, it undermines their father. And it's like, whew, and all this, why? Because they wanted to prove that the grandparents did something for my children. When you send somebody in to do evil, they don't just do this little bit of evil. They get drunk on that permission, that authority to go out and do evil, and they just take it too far. Why is the world so evil? Because you give somebody permission, and then they lose that filter that says these things are wrong, we don't do these things, and they just take it too far, right? What's wrong with the world today? Why am I having such a hard time? I asked God this question, but then I understand that I agreed to suffer for him. But then I asked God this question of, why is the world so evil? But then I see, because God has showed me, when you give someone permission to do evil, when you take that filter off, then they think that it's okay to do evil just so long as nobody sees, just so long as they're justified, just so long as they can control the narrative. It's like they're grooming the sociopaths of our world. Way back when, 100 years ago, there wasn't so many sociopaths, right? There weren't so many monsters out there. We didn't have to be afraid to talk to our neighbors. We had real community. But now we have to be afraid to talk to our neighbors. We have to be really afraid to talk to them, because oftentimes, in their ambitiousness, they serve an agenda, and though they come to you with a smiling face and looking like they could be a friend, what they're actually doing is feeling around for information. Oh, your son moved. Where did he move to? Man, if you people mess with my son, I will take your head off, But they're getting little information bits from you, and then they're taking those little information bits, and they're returning them to the person who was giving them the permission to do evil, and they're receiving their reward, whether it's a pat on the head saying, good job, it's membership on their team, or, a prominent position, maybe just money, maybe it's just that the power that they get from it, why people do evil for other people, I don't know. I don't really understand it, but I kind of get it, and I look at the world being the way that it is, And I'm going, so people don't rise for hard work. They don't rise because they're intelligent. If you're hardworking and intelligent, watch out because they're going to put a big old target on your back because you maybe see through what they're doing. And they can't have that because they always have to look righteous. And I always say I don't want to look righteous. I don't need to be right. I don't need to look righteous. I'm not interested in that. I'd rather be upright. I'd rather not feel the need to eat my neighbor to advance. I'd rather not eat my neighbor to have to soothe my sense of guilt for what I have done to my neighbor, to try and feel justified for committing murder. I'd rather not be like that, which is why I don't bend down to those who come and say, join our team and we'll go beat up the ones who came after you, because I happen to know that they sowed seeds out there. They controlled the narrative around me. They told some people that I was a drunk. They told other people I was a drug addict. They told other people I was a Karen, hockey fan, uh, Starbucks customer. All these little things that seem so insignificant. They created a identity for me to get under people's skin and provoke them against me. So though these people had no cause, they took up a cause, and because it was unjust, these people have suffered the consequences of carrying out injustice, but they feel like they're the victim because they don't know that they were serving injustice, right? When a calamity came upon their house, when little Katie couldn't breathe, when their shoulder got dislocated, when they got hit by a truck, they didn't understand, they felt like they were the victim, but they didn't know that they were receiving, the reward of the wicked. They didn't have the understanding that they were doing the bidding of wicked people who weren't on the chart for justice. They weren't pursuing justice. They were trying to justify murder. And they were using people to muck up the waters, to make truth or make lies look like truth, to make truth look like lies. They they used people, because on the testimony of two witnesses, a thing can be established. And so they exploit it. They don't care what the law really means. They're exploiting little principles upon themselves, and they make the world such a horrid place. Just they make the world someplace that you feel like, what's the point in ending this? Because the world is the same way, you know? I don't want to live in a world like this. And so then you go, well, how can I fix it? I can't fix it. I'm not big enough. But God, He told me if I'll suffer for Him, and I know it's my covenant, the reason why I'm suffering all this. I read my Bible. I know the Lord's table is despised. Hello. You get spit on. Oh, yeah, I've been spit in my face by several different people. Oh, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, yeah, they came after my kids, too. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I looked at my kids and I tried to extend my days. I tried to work within the system, but no, that didn't work either. Because the system at that point was still trying to exploit their power, and they just used it as an opportunity to take another shot at me, to control the narrative. So it's like there is no help. So I understand. I completely and fully understand that all my help comes from God. I completely understand, you know. Um, in Job, I've been reading Job for weeks now. Um, but Job has this issue where he's going through all this calamity, right? His children have been killed. The house fell on them, and I like to say that the world will exploit your children to get to you. They'll put ideas in their head. They'll sow judgments against you into your children. They will play your children at you, and if you don't succumb to the attack that they put on you through your children, then they will tell you to eat your children to get out of it, to throw the sword back at your children. And you got to go, this is not right. All you're doing is you don't care about truth or justice. You just want to eat somebody. And so you're maybe Job's children didn't die because they were against Job or in sin or whatever else have you. But Job's children died because they became an extension of those who were trying to kill Job in the first place, you know. Maybe Job's children died because they were the evil one's hands out in the world. And if you're going to be their hands, then you take on their punishment. And you really can't, you really can't avoid that judgment. Job, he made sacrifices for his children every day because maybe they had sinned. But this was not something that Job could sacrifice for, because the judgment comes straight away. There is no deferment in judgment, right? These people are so close to their end. The ones doing all the string pulling, they're so close to their end that the very next set of hands they use, they bring them to death. That's how close they are to death, you know? And they're trying their hardest to prove themselves as right, because they think that it'll preserve their lives if they can prove themselves as right, but it won't preserve their life, because God sees. And Job, he's so silly, he made an intercession for these people, and he maybe did preserve their life by making an intercession for them. But I can't do that. I can't do as Job did, you know? The world is just too evil. This way that has been going on for a very, very long time. We find the book of Job hidden away in what Christians call the Old Testament, you know, what Jews call the Torah. We find Job existed a very long time ago. Job was actually written before the Torah was written. Of course, they say they had the oral Torah, but here's the thing: if we read through things, we learn that where Job found his final resting place, the Jews were going in to attack, right? And they sent spies in to see if Job was still alive, to see if Job or if any of his descendants were still alive, if there were any trees in the area. Because if Job had been there, even the Jews would not have been able to withstand him. You know? So we see how powerful of a person Job was, right? We see how he preserved not only his own life, but the lives of everyone. You know, he says, God rains down destruction on both the wicked and the righteous, the blameless. You know, he came to this and he allowed things to continue on as they were. See, when like a righteous person says something, God backs them up. So Job kind of preserved the world in this way. And I'm going, I don't think I can do what Job did, because this is just too cruel, you know? And my Jewish friends will tell me to become a Jew. They say that there's safety there. They say that there's provision there, you know? They tell me convert to Judaism, but I cannot. Why? Why? Because I've learned enough of Torah to understand that Moses said children can be punished down to 4 generations, right? And then the Rambam comes along and says that if you're not covered by Torah, you're covered by Noah's covenant. And Noah says children can be punished in the next generation. But even Job raises issue to children being punished for the sins of their parents, because even Job will tell you that their parents don't care if the children die, so it's really no punishment for them. It is baseless hatred to pursue the child of a wicked man. You know, That is just something, that is a defect that you have to fix within yourself that tells you pursue their children, right? Because it's wrong, And I don't really feel like I'm on my own. I don't feel like I'm outcast, that I'm downcast, that I have my own covenant with God, right? And though I have no nation right now, I reside in a nation, the nation that my ancestors actually built, right? But it's the same nation that pursues me, right? So, if I have my own covenant and I'm living in the nation of my ancestors, then I have to believe, I can learn from Torah. I can learn from those who went before me the same way that Jacob learned in the tents of Shem, I can learn from those who went before me, but I don't have to adopt I don't have to convert. Do you understand? And it's not, I'm not meaning to disrespect or disregard. It's saying that, it's acknowledging that here is a chance to make things right. The Torah cannot be changed. I don't have the authority to change it. But lucky for me, mine is a new covenant, and I have authority to change things, right? The Constitution is amendable. This is the land of my ancestors, and it's most unfortunate that we think that things can only be amended in such a way, can only be applied in such a way. We think that we've come down so much that we think that the law is a noose around our necks, forbidding us from acting as we think is right, right? We think that the law prevents us from doing what is right. We have some doctors who do in vitro who are afraid to practice right now because they may get sued, right? We think the law is a noose around our neck, and that is wrong, because the law was never designed to be a noose. It was always designed to give freedom. It was always designed, even the Torah was always designed to be protection. It was always designed, Now in America, we think we have these rights, we can do what we want, but that's not freedom. There has to be an understanding that in order to have true freedom, we have to respect the rights of others. And that means there has to be an understanding, like particularly with this whole in vitro thing, and them ruling that embryos are babies, and the people could be prosecuted for murder. We have to have good sense, good common sense. We have to be in agreement here, because getting it wrong would be disastrous. It could pull the whole nation apart, right? We have to think of every law that we pass puts our nation at risk. We have to think that we have to have freedom, right? But we have to respect the freedom of others. So when we have two sides of a coin, how do we respect the freedom? I think they're starting to see that, maybe an embryo born outside of the body should not be covered under the same law, because it's not really a living, breathing thing. There's no growth to it. It is frozen. It is frozen in time, Life, when you have life, it grows. It's continuously evolving and devolving in some cases. But these little frozen embryos over here, they're frozen. They're not moving, so they're not life. They're not life until they come into the body. And then they start to grow. If there's no growth, there is no life. They're not going to turn into a fetus from an embryo inside a petri dish that's frozen, So we have to think of things in terms like this, where we can respect the rights of both sides of the issue, because there does have to be freedom. But then we have to understand that in order for there to be freedom, we have to be wise. We have to think things through. We have to have a thorough understanding of things, right? And we have to come together and respect the rights of the other side.